First of all, let me say how enormously delighted I am to be here in this magnificent city, in this such an important country, and to revel in the symbolic Turkish and European cultural dimensions of our environment here. It's a genuine cultural, political pleasure. I'm very mindful of the fact that nearly 4 years ago, in Ankara, the President of the United States, the newly elected then President of the United States, President Obama, on his first trip abroad, unequivocally stated that Turkey is a vital ally, an important part of Europe, and that America and Turkey must stand together. I was particularly taken by one phrase in his speech, in which he said, and I quote, "Turkey's greatness lies in your ability to be at the center of things. This is not where East and West collide. This is where they come together, in the beauty of your culture, in the richness of your history, in the strength of your democracy." In endorsing his view, I today want to share with you my very condensed assessment of the novel, global, and also regional geostrategic context in which our respective countries find themselves. To put it most succinctly, globally, we live in a post-hegemonic world. The 200 years of conflict for world supremacy have come to an end. Nuclear weapons would transform a hegemonic war into a collective suicide. Worldwide political awakening of the masses make the quest for political hegemony by a single power futile. And the rise of China, India, Japan, Indonesia, Brazil preclude global domination by any single region. Furthermore, and it is quite striking, each of the major powers in the world, including the richest, militarily most powerful America, suffers from severe domestic weaknesses. This is not only the case with America, and particularly its war fatigue, but of the European Union with its financial crisis, of China with its potential social unrest, of Japan with its recession, of Russia with its stagnation, and of India with its internal gridlock. These powers can still quarrel, but they can no longer afford to try to unilaterally dominate the world. And so increasingly they know that they have no choice but to accommodate. At the same time, Turkey, one of the principal members of NATO, is on the edge of a region that today, from Suez to Xinjiang, from the Caspian Sea to the Indian Ocean, is the most combustible part of the world. An explosion in it, be it because of military action against Iran or because of wider violence in Syria, could ignite conflicts in Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, or because of lack of a willingness to compromise, ignite the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and that in turn could further radicalize politically and religiously the Egyptian masses. All of that, cumulatively, would be catastrophic for the world's political and economic stability. In that dual, global, regional context, Turkey today is the key pivotal power. Its success as a European-type democratic state is vital to Europe's security and also to the future fate of this unstable region. This unique geostrategic role of Turkey can perhaps be illustrated and even dramatized by two very hypothetical questions, both involving scenarios that I listened to emphasize today are not likely. But just consider, what would the region be like if Iran suddenly became like Turkey, an impressively modernizing democracy? The region would become dramatically more stable and more promising. That in itself illustrates the significance of Turkey's historical undertakings. But conversely, and even far more unlikely, let me pose a truly excessive hypothesis, simply for purposes of illustration. What would this region be like if Turkey, because of spreading regional, ethnic, and religious violence, became like Iran? It would become a transmission belt of violence and unrest to Europe. One also has to wonder how secure would be both Georgia and Azerbaijan from a Russia that currently still resents the dissolution of the Soviet Empire. Thus today, Turkey, the pivotal power in a vitally important region and as a major source of Europe's security, and America, share a common interest in reaffirming the vitality of the Atlantic community. And that makes me recall how important in the most threatening, ominous days of World War II, specifically in 1942, was the proclamation of the Atlantic Charter. Its brief statement, issued by the leaders of Great Britain and of America, contained a shared vision for the democratic world. It lifted spirits and served as a beacon in the very darkest of days. I actually even remember the impact on my own household, my parents and myself, when I was just a child, when that Atlantic Charter was promulgated. So let us perhaps consider something which might seem today premature. Perhaps it might be time, given the difficulties that the European Union is now facing, and that this region is now confronting, for a new Atlantic Charter, a reaffirmation by the American and European democracies and of all NATO members of our common mission and destiny. Thank you very much.